I'm making, I don't know, 7+ figures a year. I have this beautiful family, and yet I'm completely miserable. I'm almost 300 pounds, and I literally every single day going to work is just, it sucks. And that was my real first point of going, wait a minute, I'm not living my best life.
So you found it, the soul of connection. If you're succeeding at everything except the relationships that matter most, this is for you. I'm Tressa Yonakawa, brain science, no fluff, real change. JM, thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to get into this because you have so much wisdom, earned wisdom. There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. You have both, but you have so much earned wisdom about being present and understanding what relationship and communication can do for you personally and in your work. So welcome.
Well, thank you, Tressa. And yes, I have earned that. And I think when you say that, yeah, I've made every mistake under the sun and screwed those connections all up in communication. So, yeah, man, I've screwed those up and kind of figured out there might be a better way. So they are hard-earned stripes that I've definitely the badges, if you will, of honor that I've earned along the way.
So definitely same. I mean, if I hadn't screwed things up, I wouldn't be here, talking about it. So I can appreciate this. So tell our listeners what it is that you love about what you do in the world.
Yeah. Well, my company, it literally Let's Go Win, and it's keys to living your best life. I started that. That's the name of my first book, and I wrote that book for my kids. Now, why is that important? Because my kids are my everything. So when I started the company, the simple goal that still exists today is to inspire people to live their best lives. A goal that will never be obtained. I know that. I knew that going in. I wanted to set something so big that I was like, every day I get to wake up and go work with people to inspire them to live their best lives, or to inspire myself, or to be inspired. And so every day I get that chance, Tressa. I get to work with companies now to help them double their revenue. So that's cool. And that's really what God has given me. If he gave me a couple things, which is I'm able to simplify things and help companies double their revenue. Okay, cool. But the cooler part of that is I get to be a part of watching people transform and really find these things where, oh my gosh, I'm not living my best life. What are some tools, some tricks, some practices that I can do? And I get to be a small part of that every day. And it's just, I can't think of anything better. I mean, I don't know. Maybe somebody's got a cooler job than me, but I'm not aware of it.
Nobody has a cooler job than you, guaranteed it. And you are so excited about it. So that's how we know that we are in alignment in our calling. And when you talk about, God gave me these skills, and so I am choosing to use them, but you had to at some point choose to use them, because all of us come in with something that we're here to profoundly do, whether that's, being the most amazing daycare provider or the most amazing barista, and we're serving love through the drinks that we make, whatever that is. Where was that choice point for you? Do you remember?
Yeah, I have several along the way. Alignment is such a huge word. I love that word. I use it often, and it's the absolutely appropriate word. So, I built and sold 3 companies in the financial service world. I look back and I'm very fond memories of doing that, and yet I wasn't in alignment in the vast majority of the partnerships I was in. And we succeeded, I think, through sheer hard work, right? And so I literally, you say the word connection. My wife and I have been married now almost 21 years. But what people don't know is that we were separated for a year, and that was at my second company. So imagine from the outside looking in, you know, the, I'm making, I don't know, 7+ figures a year. I have this beautiful family, and yet I'm completely miserable. I'm almost 300 pounds, and I literally every single day going to work is just, it sucks. And that was my real first point of going, wait a minute, I'm not living my best life. And so looking in the mirror, I had a chance to really go, well, this isn't what I signed up for. And yet I'm the one that did it, right? And so I had to really own that and look in the mirror and say, you're the one that got yourself there. You have the chance to get out of it. because what was going to happen if I didn't, I was going to lose my family. At least 50% of the time, I wouldn't have my kids and I wouldn't be with my beautiful wife that I am today. So that was the first point of going, holy cow, I'm not showing up as the best version of me. And so really step one was just getting back to taking care of me. That was the first step, was going to the gym every morning. And then since then, I've developed lots of different practices that I do. But that was the first domino, is to own that I'm kind of sucking right now. I'm not doing awesome. And I'm not taking care of myself, which doesn't allow me to take care of anyone else. So yeah, that was, gosh, how long ago was that now? Almost 15 years ago that I went through that very painful and yet very profound, and I'm grateful for that experience.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think that's really important for people to know, because as they see the pretty pictures, or see the social media that's constructed probably by a team, all of those things, when I was younger, assumed that that's just how people lived when you're successful. But I never took time to define my success. What is success for me? And I think that's a big part that people miss, is that we follow what we see. We had that time not so long ago where people were standing by other people's Lamborghinis, right, and having their picture taken. That kind of quintessential faking it, so that people would think you were successful. And not that you ever did that, but I think there was that quantitative time that brought us into this time where AI is, doing what it's doing, and now there's a push toward being more authentic, which I switched that word out for present. So if we can be more present as all of this is happening, we get to have more choices. And so I'm curious, that's one of the tools that I use, is how do I slow down time, just take a breath, pause, slow down time, so I can see my choices, so I'm not in a reactive mode. What are some of the tools that you use on a day-to-day basis and that you recommend that can help people make better or the best choices in their full alignment?
Well, the perspective that you just said, I think, is so important because, again, you blink, and life just goes by so fast. So, for instance, I have a sophomore in college, and that doesn't seem possible. Like, I remember when he was just a little boy, and yet that word presence that's the only thing we have right now. Right. This is the only time I'm guaranteed, is what you and I have. So I want to give everything that I can to this moment. And then when I get done with this podcast and I go to my next thing, I want to be fully in with that. And if you can go through life that way, where every single moment you are just fully engaged, not worrying about the past, not worrying about the future, it really becomes rewarding and fulfilling. And you don't look back with regret or anxiety. And so one of the things I say to myself often is, past is pain, future's anxiety, present is everything. And so you asked about tools. I mean, meditation is a huge part for me that grounds me every single morning. My four non-negotiables that I go through every morning, I go breath work, into my meditation, into yoga, into qigong. And that's 40 minutes of, well, I guess it's about 33, 40 minutes total. And that allows me to be where my feet are. That says, all right, I've poured into me. Now go be present in everything that I do. And so I think it's just really being mindful and being intentional about, am I right now in giving everything I have? Or am I worried about whatever meeting I have coming up? Or am I worried about how I showed up yesterday? I can't control those things. I can only control what I'm doing right now. So my tools are certainly those four that I mentioned in the morning, plus a little evening routine of reflection and journaling. But outside of that, it's just really being intentional. Am I giving everything I have in this moment? And that sounds so easy, and yet it is really something that with practice you get better at. But I certainly had to learn it.
And yeah, definitely. I talk about that a lot, how we were taught so much. And, through grown-ups around us, through education, through marketing, we're taught so much, but we're really never taught how to communicate, how to look in, how to trust ourselves and bring that into the spaces between us. And when you talk about your morning routine, I love that so much, because you are someone that we would look up to as being very successful, very on game, very aligned, and you're using 3 to 10,000-year-old technology to do it. Yeah, and as we bring that ancient technology into modern use, I think it's more accepted now, but even 10, 20 years ago, it was just woo. breathing, breath work. Come on, I don't have time for that. I got money to make, you know? So it's really exciting now to see leaders saying, no, 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 we really do need to take this time to center, to ground so that we can.
Mhm. Yeah, isn't it interesting how you're right? These are ancient practices that have been around forever, and yet the rise and grind culture, like you said, I no, I got to get up and I got to make money. Well, the truth is, if you ask people how their best ideas came about, you'll often hear, "I was at a retreat, I was in nature, I was on a walk, I did." For me, Let's Go Win came from 3 days with only a gallon of water and nothing else. Like it was just me on a mountain. That's where Let's Go Win came and changed the trajectory of my life. It didn't
Mm,
have anything to do with apps and even books that I love. It had everything to do with actually just sitting and being present with myself. But yeah, you're right. I wasn't taught that stuff. Right. And so one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is just to be. And it's funny because we are human beings, right? We're not human doings. And yet we're not taught how to just be comfortable being present. And yet that's where the real gold is if you can just sit and be cool with that.
I love that so much. And I'm starting to go into schools to talk about that at the elementary level, because I think that, if we don't hear it from someone that we trust, even for a half-hour program, then it takes us this long to learn it. And every one of my clients that I work with now, from top leadership and couples, high profile couples, has said some version of what you said, which is they got to a point where they said, I have everything and I'm still not happy. Tell me why I'm still not happy. What am I missing? And the component for everybody I've worked with, one-on-one and on from stage, has been self-worth.
Man.
So where can people like stop negotiating with the external motivators and start trusting?
Yeah, I always start with questions, right? So some self-limiting belief will come up, right? And for me, it was around money. I'll shorten the story. I figured out that after years and years of hearing my dad talk about, the people that went to the country club or the people that was for everyone else, and there was shame around this idea of money. And so what I had to ask myself is that true? Right? Like, is having like the first time I made seven figures in a year, I looked in the mirror and I felt terrible. And I had to figure out like why, right? Why is it true that making money is a bad thing? Well, no, the answer is no. There's a lot of amazing people that do amazing things with money. And then I had to ask the second question is why do I believe that? Well, I believe that because, mom, dad, grandpa, grandma, they would talk about these things in a negative light because it was for everyone else but us. And then the last question is, well, how's that showing up for me? How's that serving me? And the truth is, it wasn't serving me at all because great, you make this money, but what can you do with it? You can build more companies, you can provide opportunities, you can be philanthropic, you can do all these things. And so that's where I start with the self-worth is let's say somebody says I'm ugly or whatever the thing is. Well, ask yourself the question, is that true? And 99% of the time it's no, it's not true. That was just somebody's opinion that you've taken on.
Mhm.
And then second question again is why do I believe that? Well, because I was bullied, people said this, and then how's that showing up? Well, it's I'm not playing full out. And so it does start with recognizing that. And then there's lots of different tools that we can do, like affirmations or things to rewire our brains, which I'm a big fan of. But it is stopping and saying, asking those three questions. And when you can arrive at the fact that, you know what, that's actually just somebody else's opinion that I took on as my own, now we can start to get somewhere.
Absolutely. And in my work, my background is in neuroscience for cognition. So how our brains work to think and process. And one of the things that I know that works really well with those affirmations, a little hack, is instead of or as well as saying a positive affirmation, our brain wants to solve problems. So if we form it as a question, you know, how like instead of I am a nine-figure earner, it's like how did I become a nine-figure earner who's philanthropic, who's happy, who's grounded. And then our brain will start to solve for that. and you'll just start to notice options happening, which is very exciting. And I'm curious how do you use that every day? Because I think it's such a it's rewire. It really is rewiring your brain.
Yeah, so my best example is my kids. They've said the exact same affirmation every single day of their life since before they could say it. I said it for them until they adopted it. And it's interesting. I love when I talk to people that have the actual scientific background with neuroscience. So I ask the question is, are you a leader? And they say yes. And I say, why? Because I'm confident, strong, intelligent, athletic, good looking, dynamic, popular, talented, independent boy with a growth mindset. Now, that's way too long, guys. Let me just say that. If I could rewind time, I would have been like, I'm confident, strong, and powerful, or something like that. But how that actually showed up in real world time is my youngest son was going to school and he was getting bullied. And I said, well, what happened, Trey? He goes, well, he called me fat. I said, what'd you say? He goes, I just said I'm confident, strong, intelligent, athletic, good looking, dynamic. And he went through the whole thing. I said, well, what'd the bully say? He goes, he didn't know what to say, Dad. And it was this proud moment for me because he very easily could have taken on what the bully said, like I'm fat, and dealt with that. And we would have talked through it. But instead, he literally through rote memory just listed this thing off and just stopped the whole thing in its tracks. And so it's funny because that was when he was 7 years old. It's still applicable for a 47-year-old like myself, right? I say them
Yes.
all the time. I say I'm whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. That's one of the ones I use. And I have various ones that I use because the world's not going to tell me those things. And I need to be my biggest cheerleader on a daily basis because I am in control of two things, my attitude, my activity. So that's how I try to put it into practice. I hope that answers your question, but it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
it's there's so many ways to use that and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. It just has to be something that you'll continue to practice because I'll tell you what, it does rewire the circuits in again, you're the scientist in the in our subconscious. And so now it shows up that no, I am these things, no matter what the outside world told me I'm not.
Yeah, I love this. I love your whole process because what your whole process does is help people identify where something started without having to unpack the whole pattern. Because what happens, but sometimes between the ages of 0 and 7 up to 13, we are given stories that we don't have the ability to have consent to take on or not. So we're given stories, and then we start to build our identity around those stories. So they become subconscious vehicles that we're riding through our entire lifetimes until we do what you're talking about, what your book talks about. And we say, oh, wait a minute, this is not serving me. Where did I get that? Okay, I understand where that came from. I don't have to unpack every scenario. I just have to identify that that's where it came from so that I can make choices about my patterns moving forward. Is that is that the gist of it?
Yeah. So I wrote my second or third book, excuse me, called Upgrade. And one of the ideas, it's a very simple idea, is people don't like change. By and large, people resist change, but everybody loves to upgrade. And so, you know, one of the books, I can't think, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, I think was Wayne Dyer's book. And I
Yes.
love the book. I've listened to it and I've read it many times. But what I would say is I would just change that word to upgrade your story, upgrade your life, because ultimately, change people hold on to. They're like, no, but this is why I want to do this. But if you just flip it and say, yeah, I want to upgrade that, there's nothing wrong with who you are. You're beautiful. All your flaws and all of that. You are a beautiful soul. But could we upgrade? Yeah, I think we could in any way, shape, and form. And now it's not a judgment. It's just something that I want to do. And so, yes, I love this idea. Just upgrade your story, upgrade your life. And here's the best part. You get the chance to do that every single day. No one can tell you you can't. That is your decision. And so that's how I coach a lot of my clients is like, look, I don't want to change anything about you. But if you want to upgrade your health, you want to upgrade your relationships, I'm in, man. I'll be with you every step of the way.
That's beautiful and powerful. And having that, when I'm working with couples, I find that having me as the trifecta, an observer, an accountability partner is so vital. And I always say, if your coaches don't have coaches, don't trust them, really, because I have three right now. And I've had more and I've had less, but I've always at least had one. And the benefit for me is that I have to walk the talk. I can't just make stuff up and think it's going to work. So how do you look at being coached or being supervised in a way that helps you grow as you're helping other people grow?
Yeah, and I love what you said. Look, if your coach doesn't have a coach, run, run fast. Because I always looked at it like this. If you ever listen to your voice on a voicemail, you don't sound like you think you sound. Like I think I sound a certain way, and then I hear it, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know I sounded like that. But I guess that's kind of the whole point is I think I'm showing up in a certain way, and our coaches, our accountability partners, our spouses, whoever that might be, our accountability buddies, they get to help you see how you really show up. Put that mirror in front of you and say, look, I know you said this is what you want, and I'm just here to nudge you. I'm here to celebrate you. I'm here to be with you and let you know maybe you're not showing up in the best way possible, but I'm here for you. And so that's how I've always looked at it. And I will say it's funny. I told you earlier, if there's a company out there and they're like, hey, come help me, I have yet to last year, my least successful company was up 47%. Cool. That's awesome. But guess what? I can't do the same thing for my company. I need to have other people come in and look at what I'm doing because I'm in it. It's very hard. It's like to see the forest through the trees, right? That whole idea. And so that's what, having those coaches do for you is to say, look, I'm giving you permission to tell me where I'm messing this up, or tell me where I could improve because I can't see it. And that's just human nature. It's very, very challenging to put a mirror in front and really have a good idea of what that reflection looks like.
In the work that you're doing, and I have similar outcomes, so I love hearing that, that revenue increases when we do this work. And it's just like, it's not even it hasn't been a focus of mine unless I'm working in corporations. But with these couples that I've been working with, it just happens that they end up increasing. Like my lowest is 38% to over 300%, which I'm sure you see, even higher numbers. What do you think it is about us that we can help other people? And I think this is an issue I hear all the time with people who are in healing, helping, coaching, consulting industries. We can see it. We can see the webs. We come in and we can know exactly what needs to be done, and we strategically address it, and it gets better. What is the block for us personally?
Yeah, I call it sell them what they want, give them what they need, because the truth is, like your work, you work on the person, and which allows them to show up as the best leader they might be, best father, husband, whatever title they're wearing. But that's hard to sell. That's hard to be like, hey, we're going to work on your morning routine, or we're going to work on, I don't know, your habits. That's not sexy. That's not something that's tangible where they can say, yes, I really, the revenue part is the easy part. So that's what I sell them what they want, right? You want to double your revenue? Cool. Let's do that. And then the real work happens where it's like, hey, what are you doing for yourself every morning? It's one of the first questions I ask every single executive, especially my female clients. What did you do for yourself this morning? And the answers, Tressa, that I hear back, you've heard them too. Like, I took care of the dog, the husband, the house, the email, the kid. It's everybody but them.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's not going to work because you can't pour from an empty cup. But I can't really sell that idea like, hey, we're going to work on, taking, care of you, and that's going to double your revenue. People they don't put them together. They don't connect the dots.
Mm-mm.
But we're going to work on your revenue. And what inevitably is going to happen, as you mentioned, you're going to start to have a more fulfilling relationship. My first two clients, when I started Let's Go Win, I helped one kid lose 80 pounds in 6 months. Great. I helped a pro golfer make a bunch of cuts and be top 50 in the world. Awesome. But here's what happened with both of them. They both found the love of their lives that they're married to. Well, the first one's married to with one kid with another on the way. And the second one is married to was his girlfriend at the time. But they're like, I didn't sign up for that. That wasn't, I said, I know. This is what happens when you show up as your most authentic, beautiful self. Your company thrives, you thrive. But it's hard to sell people that. So that's why I just talk about doubling their revenue and then do the real work.
I love it. And I call that like a spiritual bait and switch that, hey, right, that, that we're going to fix these issues that you see are issues, but also now you're going to be fully living, fully engaged, and fully able to receive and give love, which I think is the ultimate thing. I think that almost all of us sell love, but there's no KPI ROI attached to that. So when I'm in a boardroom, I of course never use that languaging, and ultimately that's what I do. And I want to talk just really briefly too about what you had said about making money, and not feeling like we're worth it, because that's huge for a lot of people. And I know people who sold their companies for hundreds of millions of dollars, and are highly uncomfortable, feel like at any moment it could go away. I know when I made my first 7 figures, I did everything I could to give it to everybody in my company and make sure that I ended up in debt, because there's that disconnect of, I almost don't even know how this happened, and I don't deserve it, but it wasn't conscious enough to be able to say that out loud. So I'm curious, as people are coming into success, is they're following what you say in your books, is they're following, I'm sure you have, I hope you have a podcast and are doing all the things. I want to know about those things too. As they're following you, what can they do to not fall into that trap?
Yeah. Big question, right? Self-sabotage is real. Not feeling worthy of whatever that you accomplish is real. And so it's one of those things that you just tackle it along the way. As they start to get it, you want to be very, very open to say, hey, you do deserve this. Now, I don't care what you choose to do with it. You give it all away for all I care. Because the truth is, if once you figure it out, you can go create it many, many times over. But I will say, like you mentioned, there are many, many clients and executives I've seen that they have reached levels of success that it's mind-boggling, and yet they're completely miserable. And those are the ones that you just want to just grab them, give them a big hug, and say, you know what, you are enough. You are an incredible, what you've done is incredible, and let them actually own that. And here's where I start, Tressa. It's so interesting. If somebody walks up to you and says, Tressa, you are beautiful. There's one of two ways that people do this. They're like, oh no, I just, I got lucky with a good hair day. You see it all the time. They deflect it. Or the proper answer is thank you. That's it. It's 2 words. I had to learn the same thing, right? Like just saying thank you. I don't have to compliment them back. If I feel in the moment I should, because they are showing up with this light, great, do it. But the true answer is don't take away from the compliment they gave you. And that's the same thing when you're receiving anything, whether that be money, whether that be a relationship, whether that be love. All you want to say is thank you, because that's all that person's really looking for. If I give you a compliment, I want you to receive it. That's it. And so that's the work that we do as we're working with these people is just say, you know what, receive that. Because if you don't receive it, now you're going to interrupt the entire flow of the other part. You have to give and receive. You can't just give and give and give. Otherwise, the whole thing gets screwed up. And I had to, again, learn that myself to say, oh, there's a balance to this. It's not just give, give, give. It's give and receive.
So tell me briefly what happens. We want us to receive when we're given something good and positive. What happens if something hard, negative, undermining happens? How do we handle that?
Same 2 words. Thank you. If you look back, so for instance, I'll give you the 2 hardest things in my life, right? The one is my wife and I being separated for a year. And I am so grateful that happened. Do I wish I made her cry and go through all this? No, of course not. But thank you for going through that. Losing my dad, he took his own life, and that, I was very, very surprised, shocked. I want him back every single day, and yet I've learned a perspective of life that I could not gain. Now I want him back, right? It's not like I'm like, yes, this happens. I want them back every single day, but I just have to look at it and say, what's the lesson here? Thank you, God, for showing me the lesson of really having the perspective of life that I don't know that I could have ever obtained without losing him that way. So it's hard, right? When you go through these things, you go through a divorce, or I've had a business partner steal a bunch of money from me, but the truth is, all you want to say is thank you, figure out what the lesson is so that you can apply it to your life. And I know in the moment, you're probably like, yeah, dude, yeah, I really want to say thank you when somebody stole my car or whatever. The truth is, yeah, just say thank you and learn the lesson so that you can show up in your most authentic way moving forward. And it's never easy, but I promise if you look back at your hard challenges, that's when you really came to these profound lessons that you bring to this life.
That is everything. And Jim, what was the lesson of losing your dad in that way?
So my dad taught me that boys don't cry, right? Like I'm from Montana, and I was taught that, you don't cry. And you look back now, he learned that lesson from his dad, which, my grandfather, who learned it from his dad, who learned it from his dad. And the truth is, it's a terrible lesson. Why would you not want somebody to show their emotions? And so when I look back, I want to reach my dad and say, Dad, it's okay. Tell me what's going on. I didn't realize what was going through his head because, again, he was taught not to show those emotions. My dad was 6'6", almost, 300 pounds. He's just a big man and nothing but love. And yet he obviously had some demons that he wasn't willing to share with the world because he was taught boys don't cry. So for me, the lesson was twofold. And my boys know, like I tell them, I love them every single day. I want them to know that it's okay when it's okay not to be okay. And so that's the lesson that I think my dad really taught me is like, look, it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to cry and to get those emotions out there. Don't stuff them up so that no one can help you. I think that's really the lesson. Um, and there's many more, but I don't wish it upon anybody. So we're clear. I don't want any family to go through that, but I do want people to know if they're hurting, it's okay not to be okay. And you have resources. You could reach me right now and I will talk anyone through whatever they're going through.
Yeah, same. That is the hard, life is so beautiful, but it definitely is impacted with things that I wish we could grow as much as we could, when things are great, like when we're celebrating something rather than having to be, in those spaces of it being really intense. But thank you for sharing that. I think that's a huge, important remembering and lesson. And when you are here and present, JM, I can feel the depth and the quality of your presence. And that's something that you have because you have been in practice and because you share it. And I want everybody to know you. How can we find you?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. If you go to Let's Go Win, you're going to find it. The Let's Go Win podcast, as you mentioned, I do a podcast, the website, lots of free tools. The app will be done. I don't know when this comes out, but I'm guessing in the next month, whenever it does, the app will actually 20 years of work will be available to everyone. So I'm so excited for people to see that because, again, I just want to inspire people to live their best lives. So Tressa, you do an amazing job. Thank you for how you show up and what an incredible platform that you provide for all of your listeners and all the people you influence. I think it's amazing.
JM, thank you. And I'm so looking forward to the app. Tell me exactly what it does before we wrap up.
Yeah, so imagine 20 years of work to where the courses that I've put together to the books, they break down into courses to I mentioned my morning routine. It's all in there. And here's why I'm selfishly why I'm excited it's going to be in one location instead of me going to here to there to here to there. Because all my morning routine, it's a process that if I were to try to teach people how to do it, oh man, it's way too much. But now it's just going to be in this one area that allows you to work on your business. And again, as we talked about before, work on yourself. So I'm very, very excited about it.
Incredible. I'm excited about it too. Everybody check out the app, and everybody please know JM, because what a quality human being to have in your corner and on your side. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You dove in. This is the Soul of Connection. Subscribe now. Stay close. Your full life depends on it.